What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is a video that I've wanted to make for a very long time. It has been scripted out and written and edited and changed, all kinds of things for a good while now. But I feel like now is a really good time to make this video because the discussion always pops up, constantly comes up. And first, right off the bat, I gotta say, Luke Skywalker is my #1 favorite all-time character in anything that I've ever watched, movie, show, doesn't matter. Just want to get that out of the way. And also, if you love The Last Jedi, awesome. Love that you love The Last Jedi. I'm a huge supporter of allowing people to enjoy different things and have different opinions. And it makes things far more interesting when everyone can have a different opinion and share the different opinion. I have absolutely no issues with the most optimistic and hopeful character in the history of cinema, in my opinion, having a complete character shift. I don't have a problem with that at all. But if you are gonna do something as drastic as taking him from one side of the spectrum all the way to the other, and a character that has been known for 30 years as a, certain type of character, you better do it with some really good and really powerful storytelling. From my point of view, we did not get anywhere even close to enough story to support Luke Skywalker, the dude who went toe-to-toe with Palpatine, almost died to some Force lightning.
I'll never turn to the dark side. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
And the one responsible for flipping Darth Vader back to the light.
I've got to save you.
You already have. Luke, you were right about me.
To suddenly being so horrified by a vision of Ben Solo that he would, one, even have the slightest inkling to kill him.
I'd sensed it building in him. I'd seen it in moments during his training, and it was beyond what I ever imagined.
And to completely disconnect from the Force, hide and want to die an old man all by himself. With the Kenobi show coming out, there's been, I feel like this conversation has popped up again. And many are pointing to hey, look at Obi-Wan. Luke was broken, Obi-Wan's broken. It's just the way it goes. It makes sense. And I'm still gonna hold out reservations that Obi-Wan is actually broken because I feel like he's actually got hope and something to work towards and a really important job to kind of keep, things going and to keep their way of life around and, obviously taking care of Luke and overlooking Luke and whatever else they kind of throw at Obi-Wan in this show. But through this video, I hope to express why I feel like it makes sense for Obi-Wan to be broken and why it doesn't make sense from what we have seen for Luke to be the way that he ended up being in The Last Jedi. I'll even go as far to say the lack of story to support such a character shift actually does a lot of damage to one of the more beloved characters in the history of, cinema.
Ever since Luke disappeared, people have been looking for him. He was training a new generation of Jedi. One boy, an apprentice, turned against him, destroyed it all. Luke felt responsible. He just walked away from everything.
These lines from Han in The Force Awakens does absolutely nothing to drive the impact of this shift in character for Luke. He wasn't there, and he really doesn't have any answers. He's kind of speculating like a lot of people, rumors, people are talking, they think that this is what Luke went to go do. And he doesn't even acknowledge Ben as his son right here. Now this is the perfect seed that was planted. It gave us a glimpse at potentially what happened to Luke and the Academy. And we see some violence and we see some action. We see the destruction that Kylo Ren left behind. And in reality, because that perfect seed was planted, it is the next movie's job to let that seed grow and to expand on that story and just make the outcome makes sense. But in reality, with the whole trilogy, this scene really doesn't hit the mark and it doesn't show us enough of what we need to see in order to, again, solidify the reason Luke would do what he did. The aftermath looks awful, but we don't hear anything. Maybe one scream no! And we have zero connection to anyone that was hurt or harmed or killed in that moment. We don't hear from them. We can't see their faces and we can't sense any of their fear or despair in the moment.
I've seen this raw strength only once before, in Ben Solo. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
We're talking about a Jedi Knight who stood toe-to-toe with Palpatine, fought Vader twice, got his arm sliced off by him, almost killed by him. I thought Palpatine is who he was going to mention in this scene until he said Ben. It actually kind of made me laugh. Now, personally, I think Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, is the best part of the sequel trilogy. I think from start to finish, I think his story is by far the best. It's definitely the most cohesive from start to finish in terms of kind of the path that Kylo Ren was on from the moment we met him to the end. But we never see anything even close to the idea that he could be so powerful that he would scare Luke Skywalker, considering what Luke had been through in his past. It just goes back to showing us. Show me the money. You know what I mean? You just gotta show it. You can't tell us like, oh, Kylo Ren was scary. It's like, okay, well, we got 3 movies worth of him. I didn't see anything that even puts him close to the same universe as Vader or Palpatine. Don't just tell us somebody is scary. Show us why they are scary. Put them in the act of doing scary and horrible things, and then there won't be any question marks about it.
Until the time is right, disappear we will. In your solitude on Tatooine, training I have for you.
And here's a quick little tangent, because I see this argument pop up all the time that Obi-Wan and Yoda both did the same thing. Well, like, oh, well, Obi-Wan and Yoda left and disappeared and went to go away, and Luke did the same thing just like they did. No, they did not do the same thing. Yoda and Obi-Wan made a strategic decision because they knew they had lost, and the only way to save their way is to retreat and hide and go kind of gather themselves and wait till the right moment to come back. Yoda didn't leave and Obi-Wan didn't leave with the intentions of disconnecting from the Force and dying.
I came to this island to die. It's time for the Jedi to end. You think that I came to the most unfindable place in the galaxy for no reason at all?
These are 2 really different, they're actually completely different situations, because Yoda even gave Obi-Wan, and I hope this is stuff that we get to see in his show, but Yoda gave Obi-Wan homework. You're going to go hide, you're going to go watch over Luke, and you're also going to study and improve and get stronger in the Force because, you know, your old master found a way to forever living through the Force, and you're going to communicate with him. You're going to learn how to do it. So yeah, this idea that Yoda and Obi-Wan did the same thing that Luke did, no, not even close. Not even close. And even if Obi-Wan did want to go run away and hide and die alone by himself and disconnect from the Force, it would make sense because there was story to support it.
Leia trusted me with her son. I took him and a dozen students and began a training temple. By the time I realized I was no match for the darkness rising in him, it was too late.
And again, I'm not mad at the idea that Luke Skywalker would have a complete shift in character. Considering everything that he's been through and a lot of failures, it would make sense. People change all the time under less stress and less traumatic experiences. But it's all about the way it was executed, the way it was done, the way the story was told. I'm all about story. I watch and read, well, I started reading a little bit of Star Wars again. Well, listening, I don't really read, I'm listening to. But like the reason why I love this content so much is for the story. I love good storytelling, and Star Wars is amazing storytelling. And again, from my point of view, I feel like there's some really simple things that they could have done to make that story feel a little more cohesive and maybe not have as many question marks about like why Luke would be there doing that, wanting to disconnect, having the Jedi wanting to die. And it always goes back to the idea, don't tell me, show me.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
You want to know why Anakin's turn works so well? Because we actually see and feel the impact of his actions. It was very short, but again, you don't have to go and do this elaborate thing. Just giving us the sense that he's gonna kill and get confirmation that he killed younglings takes that story to a whole nother level and just makes it an insanely emotional moment. We We see him turn on Mace Windu, resulting in his death. Yeah, I know he's probably alive somewhere. I've got feelings about bringing Mace Windu back, but that's another time for another discussion somewhere else. But after he does that, you immediately feel the pain of Anakin.
What have I done?
What have I done? And it's just, you could tell that it's absolutely tearing him apart. You see the impact. You visually see the impact that moment had on him.
I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you. You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
We see the pain that his actions caused Obi-Wan, his brother, his master. And we also see that same impact on Padme.
I don't know you anymore, Anakin. Breaking my heart. You're going down a path I can't follow.
She practically is killed in that moment because of what Anakin has done. The impact is visually all over their faces. We see the body language and we just see how they're speaking to Anakin and how much it breaks them. That visual is so powerful. That conversation, the stuff that happens with Obi-Wan and Padme is so strong and it's insanely emotional. I feel like a broken record here, but Anakin's turn and the story that was told around the turn, which was obviously all based on Order 66, which every time I see it in any piece of content is immediately a gut punch, and it just takes you to a certain place because you know the impact. You visibly have seen the impact. And we also see the direct consequences of these actions on everybody that is still around that it affects. You see the impact on these people and how emotional and how upset they get, and just takes them to a place where the viewer can't feel anything but sadness and understanding about how deep and horrible of a moment this is.
The temple was burning. He had vanished with a handful of my students and slaughtered the rest. Leia blamed Snoke, but it was me. I failed. Because I was Luke Skywalker.
They didn't show us anything that was even close to impactful enough or emotional enough that would convince me personally that Luke Skywalker would run away scared after everything that we've seen him go through. It just doesn't make sense. It just, in terms of the story, it just doesn't line up. It does not land with me. If the events in the original trilogy did not break Luke Skywalker, it would take an absolutely catastrophic event to send him to such a dark place that would ultimately break him, wanting him to live alone and die by himself away from his family. That's why it needs to be seen. And I mentioned it earlier, this is an easy fix in my opinion. You don't need some crazy elaborate moment and like some half-hour scene to kind of let this filter out, because the seed was planted in The Force Awakens. Now I know flashbacks aren't a big thing in Star Wars, but they're kind of becoming a little bit more popular with some of the content we've seen. But if done right, they're an amazing tool to drive a story. First off, give us a flashback of Luke with his students. Happy, upbeat, excited, learning about the Force, maybe joking with each other. Show a really happy, cheerful, upbeat moment with Luke at the academy with his students. That kind of stuff, especially if there's like young Padawans there, that will hook the viewer immediately, and we will all be super invested in Luke and his students. They will instantly become people that we care about. Then we need a moment where we actually see Ben slaughtering students, kind of like we saw with Anakin in Order 66. We need to see their faces. We need to feel their emotions. We need to feel their despair and how horrified they are of this moment of this Sith Lord who was a former student coming through and just wiping people out. It's really dark, I know, but this is the kind of stuff that needs to be play out in order for me personally to see Luke Skywalker go from what we saw in the original trilogy to what he became in the sequel trilogy. Through visuals, show us that Kylo Ren has this insane, crazy power and drive to just slaughter and kill people. Something visual along those lines can put him somewhere close in the universe of a Palpatine invader and kind of be the thing that ultimately could break Luke Skywalker. Showing us the amount of pain that Luke has in that moment. Seeing his student, seeing Leia's son destroying his temple and murdering his students would carry so much weight. Give us one of those "you were my brother Anakin" moments with Luke and Kylo. I feel like those are really simple. They don't have to be super long, but the idea that we get some time with Luke's students, we actually get a quick connection with them, we visually see them. And of course, anybody with Luke is going to automatically be a connection because of how much we love Luke as a character. Show us how powerful Kylo Ren had become with the Force. Show him embracing that hate. Fill that story with visuals that would make the viewer not question, holy shit, this is finally the thing that broke Luke. Everything that he had been through up to that point, this is the thing that finally tipped him over. This is finally the thing that he just can't handle it anymore. And from my point of view, we got none of that. There was not even close to enough story and visual support for me to get down with the idea that Luke Skywalker would go and do what he did in The Last Jedi. Again, it's not the idea of him doing that I disagree with. It's the execution. The execution of him doing that. And him doing a bunch of goofy shit, throwing his lightsaber, drinking the milk. Like, he turned into a goofball. And it's just one of those weird things where, I don't know. Like, if there was some of those quick visuals to support the change, I would probably have a really different opinion about it, because as a viewer, you would be able to feel the pain with Luke. You would be able to understand it. Just being told how horrible it was, that's not enough. This is a movie. We're not reading a novel here. This isn't something that's written out in detail in front of us that we could use our imaginations. We're being shown certain things, and it's like, oh, you're gonna get this little bit, but then it's just gonna jump into Luke being this hermit on this island ready to die, even though when we found him, he was in his robes. But yeah, I'm a very visual person, and when it comes to storytelling, I want the visuals to drive the story. Storytelling, it's my favorite thing, and it's why I watch Star Wars. It's why I watch any content. I am absolutely passionate about storytelling and the stories that are told and all kinds of stories. I mentioned at the beginning, it's the reason why I love Star Wars so much. Because the story is amazing. And say what you will about the prequels, but the story that's told from start to finish in the prequels is absolutely fantastic. The original trilogy, absolutely fantastic story. And the problem with the sequel as a whole is from start to finish, it's a mess. There's no cohesion. One director did this and the other one did that, and the other one had to like one up that one and switch it around. But it all comes to cohesion and clear storytelling. And obviously, I'm very passionate about this stuff because I love talking about it. I love having discussions about this stuff. And when it comes to Luke Skywalker, yeah, he's my favorite character of all time. So obviously, I'm going to probably take that a little more personally than, most things. But there just wasn't enough for me. With all that said, with so much content coming out now and the way that they're creating and developing these shows, that's not over yet. We haven't seen the last of Luke Skywalker, so there's still opportunity to maybe fill that gap and tell that story and give us those visuals, whether we get like a Kylo Ren show or we get more with Luke in another show. There is opportunity to tell that story and to fill that gap, but I'm afraid that it's too far gone. By the time that content comes out, the sequel trilogy, it's just not gonna be, that gap's gonna be so far gone, and we're gonna have so much different Luke content by the time that happens, it's really not gonna matter. But the bottom line is the treatment of Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi was a huge fail for me. It did not land. I do not agree with how things went. It's not the idea of Luke having a shift and changing as a person, it's the execution of how Luke changed as a person. And ultimately, until things are repaired, which I don't know if it's going to happen in time, Luke is a damaged character. His story ends in a really, really tragic way. And I don't even mind his death. The way he died and the whole Force project, that doesn't even bother me. It's just everything that builds up to that moment and just everything that's told around his story is what doesn't land with me. He's my favorite character of all time, and I think he's one of the greatest characters ever created. And I just want that character to be treated and have his story told the right way. So that's going to be my story. That's going to be my explanation as to why Luke Skywalker's story was treated poorly in The Last Jedi and why I completely don't agree with the direction that was taken. And again, some really quick, simple fixes to kind of make it make sense. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but you guys share all your comments down below. Hopefully you watch this and you aren't just spouting hate that I hate the sequel trilogy, because they're low on my list, but I still watch them and enjoy them very much. I hope you guys understand that. I hope that all makes sense. But yeah, leave all your comments and see you guys later for next ones. If you have other content you think you'd want my opinion on, share below. Thanks. Bye.